Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Legacy Mastermind. For anybody new to the call, my name is Sheena Chaytor Wheeler, and I am the host of this call. I host the call the last Sunday of every month, bringing different speakers to train on entrepreneurial conversations and topics that I give them based on what I know on them. So we're going to help expand each other, train, and bring a different guest every week to give you tips and tricks. And we encourage you, obviously, to have your camera on and come on live, but they are recorded. So I had Sarah training tonight, but something's come up. So I am going to record the training that I did from week one. Something happened with the recording that day and I never got to record. So I figured this was a good opportunity to kind of do that recording for you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and my why. And I will say that one thing I don't do well is remember to do training. So I am going to read from my notes. So hopefully that is all right for you all. So I guess my story, I began in retail and sales when I probably was like 16. And I was working at the local skate shop at Ballistic a few years later and Staples through my university years. And I ended up working at Thrifties before it was Blue Notes way back in the day. And that kind of launched my interest in retail, I guess, and like the clothing industry. Some people get into working at restaurants or kitchens or whatnot. I got into the retail and later the bar scene. Um, so I was doing different gigs. I worked on the Scademia as a bartender on that, and I was going to university. And as I finished my job at university, I got a job as an assistant manager at West 49 that had just come to the Avalon Mall. Um, so after being there for a little while, I ended up meeting my now husband, and we decided we were going to move to Vancouver, and I got a transfer from West 49 and started working at Metrotown Mall in North Van. Um, so I was there. I went to Simon Fraser University. I got a second degree in child development after my first one at Mon in psychology and history minor. Haha, never did anything with that. And I ended up spending 5 years in Vancouver. So, like I said, I did some waitressing. I worked at West 49. I ended up leaving West 49 and going to SFU and then coming back. And in the meantime, I ended up working at a bar pub called Toby's. There, I met a guy who was running United Riders, a skate team and company in Vancouver, actually just up from me on Broadway. So I ended up doing a bunch of trade shows for him, including going to like the no-show event and doing like tables and setting up and selling all the merch and going around with sample sets in suitcases. And through him, I ended up meeting Priscilla, a pro snowboarder doing a first layer company. So I met her at a trade show and I wanted to work for Priscilla. I was determined. Like talk about doing this training on goals and belief. I was determined to work for Priscilla Levesque. So I would call her. I met her at the trade show at the no show, and then I would call her like every month, like, "Are you ready to hire someone? Do you want to hire someone?" It was just like her and her mom. And eventually they were like, "Okay, Sheena, we're gonna give you a chance." So then I was working for United and Scylla. Through Scylla, I met another company called Rumpel Krumstein. No, first I met Steph Royer. So he was a pro downhill mountain biker. And he was doing t-shirts with tattoo artists' designs on them. So now I was going around Vancouver. I was working at Toby's. I was working as a home therapist. I was working for United and Scylla and Sigil and then Rumpel Krumstein, another company that did like art on t-shirts. So I was going around all these sample sets and I was traveling to Ontario and I was doing trade shows and Priscilla flew me to Oregon and Denver and doing all these just trade shows and sample sets. And that was like my first step into this entrepreneurial like business. Like I was doing invoices and booking meetings and booking showings, and it was just so much fun. Um, so yeah, Priscilla had met with me. She offered me the job. Um, I was going to factories doing like samples of like product, making sure there was no issues, like there was the right number of like left legs and right legs for pants and all that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, I was actually volunteering at Mount Seymour, teaching kids to the Tiny Tots program how to ski and snowboard. So that gave me a free pass. And Steve at the time was working. He had worked at Seymour and then he ended up working at Birkin. Oh, sorry, at Burley Boys, because he had worked at Birkin before. And that's how I come kind of being involved in Mount Seymour. So, like I said, that was my first introduction into entrepreneurial like shit. I was doing markers, I was doing sales slips, I was doing fashion shows, I was doing trade shows. Um, and I kind of found myself back going to West 49 again because it's hard to make a bunch of money and live in Vancouver. So I had gone back to West 49 as a sales associate again and worked my way back up to management. And it was such a fun time. This time I was at, the first time I was at Park Royal, not Metrotown. Second time I was at 360 at Metrotown. And Metrotown was amazing. The people there became like real family. But at one point, I had to come home. I wanted a house. My parents were sick, and we packed it all up. I got a transfer back to Newfoundland with West 49. And yeah, I ended up leaving West 49, going back to work as a home therapist. And eventually, a job came open in Bay Roberts for a child management specialist full time with NL Health. And I took it, and that led me back into the health world. So I had initially been working as a home therapist way back in like my like right university into university years. And I kind of I just missed being in sales. Like I had come back to Newfoundland and I was in my house and I was working this great job. Something was missing. Um, I wanted to speak on goals. Um, because essentially I've created this mastermind because I've met so many people along the way that I wanted to bring all their knowledge and all their information and bring it and share it with people. Because I really think I've met some really cool people. And I thought that this has kind of been the one that's ahead of me, like this topic. It's a place that I feel like now I'm ready for this next chapter, and that's what's going to drive me is like my belief and my consistency and all the things that we're going to train about today on the goals. So, I'm just going to go for it. And essentially, I have 3 points. So if you are a pen and paper gal or guy, this is when you might want to grab out your notebook. Because I have 3 points that I want to talk about to help you reach your goal. And it could be like the sales volume, it could be alcohol, it could be weight loss, it could be financial budget, it could be getting a new job, it could be deciding to go and start your own company. It could be changing your current business plan or your business ideas. And um, essentially, I've heard in a lot of trainings that there's 3 areas of belief. So belief in yourself, belief in your business, and belief in your product. So I think that's 3 really key components of belief. Um, so I kind of just wanted to come back to my story just for a quick minute because when I came back in 2017, um, my husband and I decided that we were going to open a shop. So when I moved to Newfoundland, we had bought our house sight unseen, living in Vancouver, and owned it for a couple of years before we moved home. Um, because we seem to always kind of like make big decisions quickly and like boom, like decide on it. So that was kind of like crazy to buy a house without seeing it. We did that. And then we moved in the woods. So we're living in the woods, and in 2017, after Steve had gotten laid off, we were like, let's open this business. And we opened a record store in downtown St. John's, and we were open for 3 years. We closed right before COVID, right before Snowmageddon. And I'm going to bring this, it's going to come back around, but essentially, It's just as important to know when to walk away and make a new goal as it is to create your first goal. So, belief in your product, belief in your business, and belief in your product, belief in yourself, and belief in your business. Okay, so if you had to think out of 10, where are you in each category? So that's going to help give you some perspective. So just take a moment and think out of from 0 to 10, where are you in belief in your business? Like, is this a good business you're in? Like, does this make sense in where you're living or what you're marketing or what you're selling or whatnot? Does it make sense? Okay, 0 to 10. Where are you in your belief in your products? Do you believe in your products? Do you believe in what they stand for? What is the value? What is the mission statement of your products? What is your vision? What does your product say about your vision? Like, do your products represent you and where you're going? And do you believe in yourself? 1 to 10. So I love Debbie Neal. She puts out amazing podcasts every Monday. She has one from September 8th on belief, and then Bob Healing as well. He does an excellent one on the Power of Belief, episode 402. So I find keeping on top of some kind of like self-help book or podcast or whatnot or journaling can help your mindset. So this is like February 22nd, 2026. And apparently this is a really important number because it's comes to one and we haven't had a year of the one since 2017. So I just find helping to like deepen into your thoughts and your belief. It's just question, like what is your business plan? If you don't have a vision statement, write one. Is there a way you're motivating your team? Um, how does your products affect your environment? Is that something you're concerned about? Where are your products sourced? Um, I think just think about where you are. And if you're a low number on one of those three scales, then just do something to try to enhance that. So it could be changing your product. It could be, like I said, creating a mission statement or rebranding or just finding out what your blocks are and then working on your blocks so that you can believe in yourself a little better. Okay. Um, we just had I think today is closing day of the Winter Olympics, the 2026 Winter Olympics. And I had recently heard a story when I first did this training. It was in reference, I think, to a Summer Olympic athlete who was doing the hammer throw. And that's when I did the first training. So it's coincidence that here we are doing the second training. We're doing the same training again, and it just finished the Winter Olympics. And if you think about all the athletes, like when they win their medals, and you ask them, like, what was it? And they'll just be like, I just had to believe in my training. I had to believe in my coach and all the work I put in. And you hear that time and time again because it's so true. Um, so again, the second thing that is going to help your goals is your consistency. So being consistent, obviously many successful people will say this, and we're not going to confuse consistency with being constant. Doesn't have to be constant. You just have to be consistent. So many times we see the benefits of consistency so much further down the road. It's not going to happen right away. It's not going to happen overnight. Um, so some people are wondering like, oh, is so and so still doing so and so? Like that, no one should ever wonder if you're still doing whatever it is that you're doing. Like if you're doing hair, no one should be like, oh, are they still doing hair? And be like, okay. Um, are you giving what you can? Is it a priority in your life? Like what are your three top priorities? I heard a training one time that said like write down your three priorities. And if your business is not one of those three top priorities, then you're not going to achieve your next goals. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean you need to haul back or do more, whatever. It just means you're not going to reach your goals if it's not a priority and you're not being consistent in it. Um, So yeah, I was watching this interview with Evidence from Dilated Peoples, and he is also a photographer. And he kind of was just like, "Oh, I started this long time ago, and then One day I kind of just woke up and was like, oh, I'm good at it. And like, so true. Like, you have to start somewhere to be cringe. Like, if I go back and look at stuff I did 5 years ago doing reels or 3 years ago doing reels, it's cringe. And now you know that's just how it goes. You have to kind of suck to get better. Like, failure is part of improving. Like, you can't improve without the failure. So you have to be consistent to fail. So you have to be consistent to get better. Um, okay, so yeah, it's not just looking to get content, but it's showing up consistently. It's sharing your product consistently. It's doing your promotions it's consistently. It's being present in your business. Or like if you own a hair salon, like are you there? If you own a skate shop, like are you at the skate park? Do you know what is up? Um, And like consistency, like I said, you're not going to see the results overnight. And think about how many people became successful later in life. Samuel Jackson, Colonel Sanders, Mike Carroll, Steve Carroll. Um, Vera Wang launched her fashion empire in her 40s. So training is also important to that being consistency. So like always doing training, always being up on like the current standards or the current innovation. I'll go back to the hair salon one. And I mean, that could just be like knowing what products are are in right now, knowing where the market is going. Again, knowing where the products are coming from, where they're being sourced. Are they good for our environment? Are you going to find out later that some kind of bleach is bad? Okay, so training. If you have a team, do you want a team? Can you grow a team? Can you lead a team? Do you need someone else to lead because maybe you're not the best leader? Maybe you have the great ideas, but you need someone else to help generate ideas for that. Okay, the third thing. So the first was the belief, the second is consistency, and the third thing to help reach your goals is being um it's knowing what you want and being ready to receive it. That's a big one. Um, So you might need to know what your goal is. So like if you're just like, I'm gonna go to Arizona and get in your car and drive and you don't have a map to Arizona, you're gonna end up in Vancouver, not Arizona. You need a map to know where you're going. Maybe it's a business plan. Maybe it's just an outline. Maybe it's a 5-year plan. But if you're not specific about your goals, doesn't matter. And if you're not ready to receive them, if you're not ready to take the change in the responsibility or the change in the speed of your life or whatever it might be. So you might want to write it down. That's the first thing. Write it down. Writing things down activates an area in the brain of the particular activity and it tells the brain what to do. And that's what we focus on more. It's like buying the white Benz and then everywhere you go, you see the white Benz. Um, so it's 3 times more likely to remember something if you write it down, and 2 times more likely to notice an opportunity. Journaling, vision boards. Um, I have a whiteboard. I have a calendar. I have a journal. I've got like my be all book. So I've got my planner that comes with me. Everybody makes fun of planner. Planners are amazing. And then I've got like a catch-all book with like just other notes or training I'm doing or trip plans or could be financial goals, whatever. So yeah, write it down. Number two is to be specific. Know exactly what you want. Picture yourself with it, like not a vague idea, but like envision it, like time stamps, what can happen in between. If you don't know what you want, you might have to collaborate with someone to help you sort that out. Breaking down a big goal can help. It can make it more achievable because then you achieve small goals. So like it could be your weekly goal, like just or a daily goal. Like I mentioned earlier, this training could also be on anything from like weight. So it could be like, making small changes weekly or daily. And then three, being open to receive. So find out what your dark thoughts are. Find out what your blockages are. Bring it back to belief. Like what is your blockage about believing in yourself? Um, it's really hard to be vulnerable, and it's necessary for growth. Like you can't be the same person and then grow. Like that, you can't be two things at the same time. Um, so like one thing that I learned about the affirmations is that I don't want to say like that I want something or need something because that indicates to the universe that you still want it or keeps you in the want or keeps you in the need. So it's really important for you just to take your goals and really like manifest or use your affirmations in the present tense. We need to let the universe know that we're ready to receive that. Like, am I ready to do the work? Am I ready to take the risk? Maybe sometimes when you're building your business, you're going to take resources. It's going to take an investment of resources, time, resources, money, resources, your weekends, like your spare time. Like these are things that we are sacrificing to build our businesses in the essence of building our passion and our dream and why we're listening to the recording, why we showed up today for this recording, for this training, because that means obviously like you have some interest in building your own goals. Um, okay. Keep going through my notes to make sure I don't miss all the things. So a couple podcasts and books that I'm going to recommend. Love Money, Money Loves You by Sarah McCrum. Love Money, Money Loves You. Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis. Rich as Fuck. Debbie Neal's podcast, Level Up. Older Amanda Francis and Bob Healing podcasts. Amanda Francis, Bob Healing, Debbie Neal, and Rick Rubin's book, A Creative Act, A Way of Being. There are so many other books, but depending on what business you are in your entrepreneurship, things may hit different. So I listen to these. I have a How to Be a Badass book is currently in my bathroom. Like, why not? We do enough scrolling. We're not taking that in there. Um, so keep your to-do list, keep your affirmations, keep about your thoughts in your everyday ways. It could be credit card debt, it could be whatever it was. Like keep these things in your mind that you want and like put them everywhere. Like write them on your bathroom, put them on your post-its. I had a post-it note that said, my goals are more important than my feelings. And I think about that a lot. Okay, so um like I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. My goals are more important than my feelings. Like, I'm tired, don't care. Don't want to do it today, don't care. You're trying to hit this goal, don't care. Nope, you can't do any of that. Like, you can't care about those things. I mean, it's important to know what drives you and like what your limits are and when to walk away. So this is what I mentioned earlier when I said about closing no equal. When we closed no equal, we were ready to close. We had to think about those things about the market and where we were located and what kind of resources we were wanting to sacrifice. And the weight that came off my shoulders when we made that decision opened a new door for like what is coming now. So like that's okay too. I actually wanted to invite a guest on when to walk away. I think that'd be an excellent training, like when to know when to walk away. So hopefully some of this stuff resonated with you. Like my eye is on the prize. My mind is in the game. I see the big picture. I see the big vision. I want you to see your vision. And I want you to think about transformational growth. So, like when you're interacting in your business, you're not just having transactions with people, like the people you meet, the customers you have, the the goals you want to make and the sacrifice you want to make. They should be transformational, not transactional. Like I'm not in my line of work like for me. Like I'm in it for the big picture. I'm helping people. I'm problem solving. I don't want my life to be getting up every day and going to the office. And I love my work that I do and I'm really good at it. But I feel like I can offer so much more than just doing that cycle. Like I want to go back to like being on the road. See, even my body language changes. My face changes when I talk about it. Like like I feel it. Like I just want to go back to being on the road and going with my sample sets and hosting events and doing trade shows and doing markets and talking to people and like that's what I'm building. That's what I want. And it's so clear for me. Um, so it's not about rank, it's not about dollar figures. This is about like going for your vision and going for your goals and making them happen. And I want you to have a huge goal and I want you to be obsessed with it. Um, I want you to find solutions. I want you to just be so inspired to go out every day and like hustle for your goal. Um, so I that's all I have. We're here to talk about growth and leadership and entrepreneurship and just check your goal, write it down, be specific, be brave, and be a winner. And thank you for listening to this training and for coming to this training. And I will see you back next month. Okay, bye.